Hi, good evening, everybody. Welcome to your number one show, The Nigeria We Want, all the way from Australia. We have a panelist, a usual panelist, our Egbon, Mr. Yemi Shodimu. You're welcome to the show, Egbon.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Egbon is joining us all the way from Lagos, Nigeria. I hope not to saying this time, and we
It's
also
very,
we also
it's very
have
good.
our international or intercontinental moderator, Mr. Wale Olaiton. Welcome back to the show.
Thank you very much, Dr. Vicky. It's good to be back, and to our big brother, Mr. Yemi Shodimo. Thank you for joining us again.
Pleasure is mine. Nice to be here again.
It's good to have you all back, and we have this topic that it's long overdue. We delved into it a little bit last year when they had their first one of their issues, but not in depth. This time around, it has to be. It's something we need to make a lot of noise about. I'm a mother of three, and I pray for my kids and I pray for their safety. If I should entrust my kids' care into somebody's hands, they need to do the job, especially if I'm paying them for it. So today we're going to go into depth with this. We're going to dissect this and we're going to talk about safety of our children. We are we have a guest panelist joining us shortly. But before that happens, before we bring them onto into the studio, I will hand over to our moderator, Mr. Wale Olaiton, to moderate today's show for us. Wale Olaiton.
Thank you very much, Dr. Vicky. To our viewers, this program is coming to you all the way from Australia, and we have contributions and inputs from our colleagues in Nigeria. On the show today, we are discussing a very important topic, as earlier mentioned by Dr. Vicky. We're looking at school safety in Nigeria. We specifically focus on a topic concerns month over safety of school children as a 12-year-old student at Chrisland School, Lagos, died. So we're going to, extensively discuss, that topic, a topic that we look at that tragedy of a great proportion. And so we'll be going straight to that, to that topic. We have our regular, panelists in the house. Thanks for joining us, Mr. Elvis Nwashiku, Mr. Shodimo. We'll be looking at to help us discuss the topic. We have a special guest, a parenting practitioner, a certified family life therapist, a founder of the Parents' Rights, Ronke Adeniyi, formerly called RonkePosh. We also be having the parents of the 12-year-old child that passed away, in Lagos in that very tragic circumstances. We have Mr. Michael Adeniran and also Mrs. Blessing Adeniran, on the show. So thanks for joining us from Lagos, Nigeria. Ronke Adeniyi, popularly known as RonkePosh. Welcome to the program again, RonkePosh.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you very much for the invitation. Greetings to everyone, particularly at this time, Whitney's parents. My heart and my prayers have been with you. We've been praying for you, especially in my family and in the school where I also work. Our heart goes out to you, and we will continuously praying for you all and your family. May the Lord just be with you throughout this time and to comfort you.
Oh, thank you. Just to be sure, is that Mr. Michael Adeniran and Mrs. Blessing Adeniran?
Yes. Good morning, everybody. Thank you for inviting us here. So myself and my wife were here already.
Thank you very much, Mr. and Mrs. Adeniran. And on behalf of the Nigeria we want to express our very deepest sympathies over the death of your daughter, Whitney Adeniran. We want to bring this
Thank you.
issue to everyone. We want to really discuss it extensively to know exactly what really happened. But first and foremost, accept our deepest condolences. So because of time, we
Thank you
go
so
straight. Thank you. Okay. So because of time, I go straight to the introduction to that topic, courtesy of our producer. A sad narrative concerning sudden and tragic death of students in schools is unfolding before Nigeria as a country. In another sad development of this national tragedy, a student of Chrisland International High School, Lagos, Whitney Adeniran, died in mysterious circumstances on the 9th of February 2023. The 12-year-old Whitney died during an inter-house sports competition at the Agege Stadium, Lagos, raising fresh concerns over safety of students in Nigerian schools. The circumstances leading to the death is still shrouded in mystery, while the parents of the students, Michael and Blessing Adeniran, said they suspected foul play in the death of their daughter. The management of Chrisland School ruled out any suspicion, insisting that the deceased slumped in public view and not under any hidden circumstances. As authorities continue to investigate and get to the root of the matter, the Lagos State government has ordered temporary closure of the school in Ikeja, pending the outcome of a full investigation into the unfortunate incident. So, how do we ensure safety in the schools to avoid such sudden and tragic deaths of students? So, I'll go straight to Mr. and Mrs. Adeniran. And just for the benefit of our viewers and those that have not followed the tragic event, can you please provide background to the incident? What really happened on the 9th of February? What happened to Whitney? I'll start with Mr. and Mrs. Adeniran.
So, am I audible enough?
Yeah, please go ahead, Mrs. Adeniran.
Okay. So, on the 9th of February, I went for my daughter's inter-house sports at the Agege Stadium before the program started. And I even met some members of the admin. I changed pleasantries. And then I went ahead to get a seat. I sat in the front row because I promised her dad that I would get him pictures when she comes out before he eventually comes to join us at the venue later in the afternoon. So I got
Mrs. Adeniran, are you there?
my seat.
Yeah. Yeah, Mrs. Adeniran, I think we
sat
having,
down
we're having a bit of...
and I was waiting for to start.
Continue, please, Mrs. Adeniran. Mrs. Adeniran, are you there?
I was there before.
It's breaking.
I think we are having difficulties hearing Mr. and Mrs. Adeniran. So why are they trying to fix their IT issues or connectivity issues? I will go to our special guest, RonkePosh, with all our wealth of knowledge. As a parenting practitioner, a certified family life therapist, and founder of the rights, parents' rights in Nigeria. With this sad incident, there are many explanations, and like everything in life, with benefit of hindsight, there are a lot of explanations of what really happened. But from your, angle, how can parents, schools, teachers, how can they really collaboratively, work together so that we won't be having this conversation in the next few months? There are questions that I really want to ask the parents, as parents, to really provide that background information, but we're having these technical issues. If you know, or you have any, as I'm sure, based on what you do and your research, you are also free to shed light in terms of that background information. That was what I was asking the parents. I would actually prefer to hear from them as parents, but we have these issues. Feel free to tell us what you know as a background to this, tragic incident. Over to you.
Indeed, I would also have preferred that the parents of Whitney were the one that narrated what happened at the time. Indeed, I've been following what happened since that inter-house sports day, and the mother was on site to watch the sports day because she came early, because last year she wasn't on time, or she wasn't there at all, and had
RonkePosh, can I just pause you there? I think there's a bit of, let's go ahead. There was a bit of an issue.
Okay, is there some interference? Because it's pretty.
Yes.
Is there?
Yes.
Is it echoing or sound?
Yes, echoing.
Okay.
Yeah. Can all other speakers or panelists, can you just put your mic on mute unless you're talking? Maybe that could reduce, the echoing or whatever, the background noise.
Is it any better now? Okay, because it's pretty quiet where I am. I'm just all by myself, and the network is pretty okay. So yes,
it's better now. Continue.
Yes. So following what I've heard from Whitney's parents, especially her mom, because I've been following what has been saying online. She was at the venue. Her daughter was also there. The school bus had taken her daughter to school on that morning. So she was keen to be there on time, very keen to be there on time, because the previous year she was not there either on time or at all. So when they started the march past, the mother was looking out for her daughter, and she didn't see her daughter there. And she was aware that her daughter was supposed to participate at that introductory part of the sports day. So she assumed that perhaps they had the home economics or another department having some kind of presentation on that day. Maybe her daughter would be part of it, but she still didn't see her daughter. So she left where she was and tried to move, because she said she was familiar with the stadium because she had been there before. So she tried to move around to find her daughter. At this time, she saw a school bus speeding past. And she just, said to herself, why would a school bus be speeding like this when children are all around? So she went along, and she started to ask for her daughter. And she said, one of the students had said to her that a student passed out, slumped. That the student slumped, and she was wondering. Oh, she even said, oh dear, or something like that. She made a comment, She empathized with the fact that a student had slumped. And as she continued to try to find her daughter, she brought out her phone, I believe, to show an image of her daughter. And this student said, oh, the person who slumped was called Whitney. And obviously, that was totally anybody. So she did more research and found out that it was her daughter that had slumped. I believe she spoke to either the head of school or a teacher, and ultimately they went to, they said the daughter was fine and she had been taken her to the hospital. She went to the place, she couldn't find it on Google Map. She was looking for the location of the hospital. They had told her some Agege Central, somewhere in Agege. but it wasn't. She couldn't find it there anyway. Ultimately, she found her address somewhere, and I heard from the dad as well when I listened that it was not in the best of areas. There was mechanic shop. It was not in a very. It was in a rundown area, so to speak. And she got inside and she saw someone that it was not a doctor. However, the person said to her that just pronounce this. She couldn't pronounce her daughter as. I'm finding it difficult. And funny, not only the mother or the father, but I'm struggling to narrate the story because it's really it's a lot. So I can't even. It even makes me empathize significantly more now that I'm having to say it. I've been listening to it, but saying it is it's actually quite challenging for me. So yeah, the person couldn't pronounce because the person wasn't qualified to pronounce a human as dead, but had said that it was a cardiac arrest or something. This is pretty much what happened. When she had called her husband at this point, she picked up her daughter, the hands where she was limp, her lips were already black, she had already started to change, and it was just it still is a horrible thing to think about. So yeah, that's pretty much what happened. She gave more details, but to be honest, I am actually struggling now to deliver that message. So that was the general.
Thank you, RonkePosh. Are we, just for a few minutes to, I come back to for that exactly the sense of your emotional family. I'll go to Dr. Vicky now. Fortunately, we yet to reconnect with us. But as followers of social media, I'm sure we've read a lot about this incident. I think I've seen a few videos online. There's been issues around the school management, the parents in particularly. I would have actually loved to ask them this particular question. The parents have asked, actually accused management of negligence due to some circumstances surrounding that death. What do we know? What do we know? And I just want our panelists to shed light if they know anything about what could have made the parents, in this case, to accuse that school of negligence. I will start with our media practitioner, and then also is open. The parents have actually accused the school of negligence. What in your opinion, is responsible for this, accusation of negligence? From what you've gathered, I don't want to put you on the spot there. From what you've gathered, what do you think could be responsible, for this accusation by the parents? Mr.
Is that a question for us?
Yes, to the panelists.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I want the panelists.
Okay. I had the privilege of speaking directly with the parents. It's a bit unfortunate that they're having technical issues. I hope they come up with this. They're able to sort this out. Some things make one very, very uncomfortable about this situation. One, when that incident happened, the mother was physically present. She interacted with the school authorities when she got there, so they knew she was there. If for any reason that child slumped, as was said by the school authorities, you would expect that somebody should reach out for the mom while first aid efforts are being made. Nobody did this. That's one. Two, this woman, after not finding her daughter in the match past, the troops that did the match past, got very uncomfortable and made attempts to look for her. She was dissuaded by one of the board of the PTA or whatever that parents were not allowed to step beyond a particular place. But as a mother, she said she needed to see her daughter. Now, the students, and they have evidences about this. The mates of this girl stated categorically, it's on tape, that this girl suffered electrocution by holding a rail. It wasn't a situation of somebody just slumping. That is there. It's very contradictory. It's obvious that the school was more interested in the inter-house sports just going on. They didn't want a disruption. She met the principal. It was the principal that gave her that Agege Central Hospital, right? It was a driver and a nurse that rushed that girl out. You are doing an inter-house sports that involves that number of students. There was no ambulance there. There was no proper medical arrangement. That the nurse you are talking about is the usual one, the quack ones that they have in their sick bays. I would expect that a full complement of medical team will be ready at such an incident. Okay, that's fine. When the mother eventually found out where the girl was, it turned out to be an immunization center. It wasn't a hospital, not a proper hospital. And it was in a shanty. I sincerely hope the parents will come up and corroborate these things I'm saying. It was in a shanty. The person that she met there confirmed to her that this girl was brought in dead. BID. That's another thing. Now she saw the lips and the tongue of that girl had gone green. I'm not a medical person, but we've spoken to a couple of medical people, and they say those are signs of electrocution. All the parents were asking for at that point and up till now is the simple truth. What happened to Whitney? This girl woke up early in the morning that day, prepared her own breakfast. At as early as between 5 and 6 a.m., she said she wasn't taking breakfast to school. She had breakfast, hale and hearty. Right? The mother took her there. Now, the school obviously is struggling so hard to cover up a number of things. And of course, they are more interested in their image. Now, the Lagos state government is said to have closed down that school. There is a release issued by the PTA saying that to commiserate with that girl, they and the school authorities have decided to close the school for 5 days. And so parents should be bringing their children in on Monday. Who is in charge? I don't know. Is it the state government or the school on a situation on an instance like this? Electrocution, according to the mates, was as a result of a naked wire from the candy box, the candy machine. Negligence from the bits of information one has had. So I will just leave the rest so that others can contribute. But that is the sad situation. These parents are grieving. The mother was wailing throughout when I had that chat with her. And I can understand. That's her first child. It's a trauma that she's going to live with. But the issue why we are going through this is that this must not happen to a child that is being given to the care of an institution. It must not happen. It must not happen. Somebody has to be responsible for it. Somebody has to say something.
Thank you very much, Mr. Shodin, for that, background information. I'm sure, that's very helpful in terms of providing context to what really happened. So I'll go to Dr. Vicky now, still on that issue of, the parents that have accused this school of negligence. Do you suspect, any foul play? Again, to Dr. Vicky and to Mr. Anwashiko, I know we are not in Nigeria, But as a follower of news online, I'm sure we all have opinions on some of these things. I just want to hear your opinions. I'll start with Dr. Vicky. What is your opinion on this? Are you suspecting any foul play?
Probably not a foul play, but maybe a cover up. A cover up so that they can protect their names and whatever else. The main thing here that we've heard, and it's the same story again and again, is that Whitney was electrocuted. Electrocuted by an open wire from a candy bar station. Now, here where we are based, if you're running a business, you've got computer, you've got printer, you've got all the gadgets that you use, electrical gadgets that you use. There is a company that needs to check all your gadgets and tag each and every one of them, from the little ones to the big ones. They tag them, they check to be sure, are they safe? Are they safe around people? Are they going to be safe for the next 24 months, for the next 12 months? That is to help protect us all. For things like this not to happen. Now, somebody came there with their whatever it is. Nobody's checking anything like everything else in Nigeria. So at the end of the day, Whitney was in care of a school. Whomever brought their machine, the school should have done their due diligence to make sure kids are safe around whatever gadget they're bringing onto the venue. So is it a cover up, or is there something else there? I believe it's a cover up, because them now telling other stories, insinuating that the young girl, she was sick, she's a sickler and stuff like that. It's just not fair on the grieving parents and the siblings. So I believe it's a cover up, and this is not the first time of this school. That's just something we need to emphasize here. It's becoming too much. And probably they know somebody somewhere in the high places, because they kept getting away with things. But it shouldn't be happening. It shouldn't be happening. Um, that's just my summation. Whatever is going on, if kids are in your care, you're responsible to make sure they're okay, to make sure that whatever they're gonna be interacting with, they're safe to be there.
Thank you, Dr. Vicky, and you made a very valid point around duty of care. The duty of care lies with the school. Once you take your kids, they're in the care of the school, and that duty of care solely lies with the school. And on this occasion, we don't want to jump into any conclusion, but it appears that the school, has failed the parents. They've failed Whitney with their duty of care, which is their primary responsibility. Thank you for an early heart attack that we lost RonkePosh. So thank you for joining us again. So I go to Mr. Nwachukwu now. So just around that same theme around alleged negligence and also a suspicion of cover up. Again, we are all followers of social media. What is your take based on what you've read and in the last few days on this incident? What is your mind telling you on this incident, Mr. Nwachukwu?
Yeah. First of all, Wale, I'd like to extend my heartfelt condolences to the Adeniran family for the loss of their beautiful girl. This is nothing short of negligence, in my opinion. In hindsight, is there anything um, better that the school could have done to avert this situation? I mean, the absence of paramedics, qualified paramedics at event of that magnitude where you had several children. I mean, a responsible organization will plan for any unforeseen circumstances. And in this case, obviously, this hasn't happened. There was even, I read, there was the absence of even, the minutest thing, first aid that could have been administered on that poor girl. That was also not in the picture. Um, it is sad that uh, the school is, in my opinion, trivializing the situation, the death of that poor child, with this, cover up. My father, when he was alive, had a favorite saying, and he goes to us that the truth is as straight as a polar star. When you tell the truth, you're telling the truth. You don't need to add anything else. But when you tell a lie, there'll be loopholes, and people can see right through, and they can tell straight away that you're lying. I mean, for a child who had no pre-existing condition, according to the parents, and even to compound that family's situation, you are alleging that the child, as I heard here tonight, had was a sickler. If she was a sickler, the parents will be the first people to know that she was a sickler. And to put the icing on the cake, this woman was at that event, had made her presence known, and you had a child in that precarious situation. Not even a word was said to her. She had to go, searching for her child. She had to go asking questions. I mean, it's not acceptable. And for the school to even defile the, because I watched on the I watched on the news the other day. People gathered around the school to protest that the government had given a closure order, but guess what? They were still in operation. I also listened to the phone conversation between Mr. Adeniran and the principal of the school, where he was eliciting information and asking, repeatedly, can you tell me what happened to my daughter? Can you tell me? Can you open up to me? I need to know, which is the right of every parent. Nothing came out of that conversation. To the school, I mean, and this is not, it's business as usual. They're trying to protect their image. And the mistake they're making is no matter how hard they try, it's still going to leave them in bad light. If it was no fault of theirs, even though undermining, given every situation that could have been put in place and they didn't, and an accident or an incident like that occurred, they should be upfront and just let the parents know. I mean, covering up makes the situation worse, not better. And what happened to CCTV, by the way? How come, is there any CCTV cameras around the school that, the authorities can go, the police can go have a look at and see what exactly transpired? Anyway, Femi Falana, I understand, has taken up the case, and the coroner's inquest will be out, I'm sure, not too long from now, and hopefully, that will answer some of these bugging questions. I'll leave it at that.
Thank you very much, Mr. Awashiku. I go straight to RonkePosh now, and this has to do with, I'm putting this to you as a parents' rights activist. Do you think, in your opinion, Chrisland College failed Whitney in their duty of care? As a provider, do you think there's a negligence, a cover up, and overall, do they really fail in their duty of care? That is number one. Number two, the state government has temporarily shut down the school, pending investigation. What do you think we should expect from, such an investigation, knowing that sometime last year we had a very big story that came out of that same school, but overall nothing happened. It was just, after a few months, business as usual. So what should we expect from the government in terms of that investigation to make sure that we don't come back in a few months talking about this same thing happening to other parents? And also, as a parents' right activist, do you suspect any cover-up or failure in terms of duty of care on the part of that school? RonkePosh.
Okay. So you asked if the school failed Whitney. It's a difficult question to answer because no matter what was done, the fact that we lost somebody, we lost a child, it's the worst thing that can happen in any school, in any environment. So definitely, I would say the school, I would say the society, because as far as I know, there was a third-party vendor as well there, who's, allegedly, as they say, whose candy floss machine, something was going on from some of the voice notes that we've listened to online. So systemic failure, Nigerian factor, as some people call it, has come into play at this point, but we want to hear more. We want to find out what really happened from the other side, from the school. I guess with time, things will unravel. You also asked about the government closing the school.
And the pending investigation. And from your experience, what should we expect from that investigation? Should we be expecting any form of reforms to come out of this? In the light of similar events in that same school, nothing has happened. After previous investigation. So what should we be expecting in terms of that ongoing investigation by the government?
Well, we have to be optimistic and pray that the truth will unravel. I don't even think schools need to wait for the government before they start checking their practices already, the third parties that they're inviting, because any third party that you use their service as a school automatically becomes your responsibility as a school. With regards to the government, it's a difficult question to answer, but we are hoping that the truth will be unraveled. I understand there's an autopsy that is going ahead. We want to believe that we will get the best and that there will be no Nigerian factors involved, that the truth will come out, and so that the parents can have some kind of closure. It's difficult enough as it is, but if they don't get closure about the situation, it's going to be even tougher for them. So we're hoping that the government will do their best to ensure that the truth comes out, and they also continue to work hand in hand with schools to ensure that safety is paramount in all the schools. Now, this particular scenario did not happen on the site of the school. It happened at the sports center that they perhaps have hired. It's always easy, hindsight, to say it's 2020, to say they should have done X, Y, and Z. We don't want to lose another child. We don't want to lose another human, because it could have been anybody. If this machine was truly what caused the according to the voice notes, then it could have been anybody. So we have to ensure that we're checking all these things. I'm personally someone that is weary of all those wires. We see it in Nigeria. For those of us that live in Nigeria or African countries, we see all these electrical wires at events, weddings, or, moving all over the place. Some of them, they don't have a plug at the socket. They don't have it. You just see them trailing around all sorts of places. So we just have to ensure that we do better for our children. And I keep saying it because I also run a school. We can't do enough. We just have to continue to do everything that we can to ensure that our children are safe. We are safe also. So those two questions, that's how I can approach them. I think there's a systemic failure, general systemic failure, because not just the school, whoever, if indeed, I keep saying it because we don't know what truly happened fully. Let's hear. So most of the things are allegedly, but if indeed that candy floss machine was the problem, then I will call it a systemic Nigerian problem, because I see these things at events, not just schools, fun fairs where children go. You see train rides, popcorn machines, all sorts of things. You see them everywhere, and you see these wires. I know I went, even this year, there was somewhere I went and I saw wires, and I was telling my friend, I was like, be careful, don't step on those type of things. So we see those things, but we have, as a society, we don't frown against those things. We just, we jump over it, we cross. Health and safety, we have not really prioritized generally as a society, as schools. We've not really prioritized certain aspects, especially third parties, when they come to provide a service. External teachers, extracurricular activities, when they come, they are also our responsibility, and we need to also look into them, because the school might have done all that they could. However, the people that they may have brought on site caused this thing to happen, fortunately.
Thank you, Mrs. Ronke Adeniyi. I'm sure this is a tough one for you as a business owner, a school owner yourself. I know, but you've answered my questions to the best of your ability, that I appreciate your honesty and your approach in answering this question. Yeah, Mr.
Wale, sorry. Yes. Can I quickly just throw something in?
Please do.
Personally, I grieve as a parent. I don't know how I will handle it if I'm told such a thing happened to my child, but that's it. Now, accidents do happen, but how you handle the after effect, how you approach it with humanity, goes a long way. One, I said this earlier, you will not take, I wasn't there, I'm quoting the mother of this child and the father. There is no way you would have taken your dog to that place where Whitney was taken to, as horrible as the situation is. That's one. Two, listen, the PTA directors went to the parents' house with an air of arrogance, but that's subjective. But what made it worse was that they took a man there who was lying from both sides of his mouth, that he was physically present. When Whitney slumped, he held her by the neck and was shaking her. This man was nowhere around there. There was no adult, there was no teacher, according to the mates of this girl. The schoolmates are saying they are spilling now because of their conscience. They took a man to the parents' house to lie to them. And the father now asked him, are you a father? Do you have children? He said yes. He said, just let's leave it at that. This is the level of desperation at, using Dr. Vicky's word, cover up. Note it, Chrisland School is a high fee paying school. And I mean high fee paying school that could afford an ambulance, that could afford the full complement of medical services for that event. So this has gone beyond morality now. It has to do with somebody taking responsibility. It is as simple as that. Somebody has to be responsible for this. Somebody has to take the cane for this, because there are other children that are there. The next thing is the desperation to reopen the school, as stated in a release. It's not hearsay. They want to reopen the school on Monday. It's painful.
Thank you, Mr.
It's saddening.
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Ashodimo. So if you just join us, we're discussing, school safety in Nigeria. Specifically, we're asking what happened to Whitney Adeniran, a 12-year-old student of Chrisland College that died on the 9th of February. We're asking what happened. Is there a cover-up? Is there any, negligence? One of our special guests has said, there's, systemic issues that we need to look at broadly as a nation in addressing this kind of incident. So I'll go to Dr. Vicky and Mr. Nwachukwu. So broadly speaking, I want to look at it as a stakeholders kind of engagement. Within that school environment, we have key stakeholders. We have, the school owners or the teachers or the school management, the parents. How can they, collaborate, in preventing future incident like this? How can the school management collaboratively work with our teachers and the parents, so that we won't be sitting here pointing accusing fingers in different directions? What can they do collaboratively in making sure that our kids are they are safe at school? I'll start with Dr. Vicky, and then we go back to Mr. Nwachukwu.
All right, I believe it's like I said initially, it's very important. And when I say very important, extremely important, that if school is, allowing other people, other providers or other sellers to bring anything onto their, wherever they are doing events, it has to be checked. This is saying a lot. RonkePosh also mentioned it, not just in the school, at events. It has to be checked and double checked. I mean, this school, it's not just a medical team that needs to be on ground. There should be, professional electrician checking things like this. I mentioned it before that if you're running a business, every 12 months there must be somebody, from this particular company that would check every little thing that is electrical, and they target, so that things like this will be prevented. It has to be done. They're not doing it just because they want to throw money away. It has to be done to protect the interest and the health of the public. This will keep happening if the government are not doing what they're supposed to be doing. Chrisland School will keep getting away with things if government doesn't do their own part. They need to be brought to books. They need to be confronted about this. Yes, it didn't happen on the site, on the school site. Yes, it happened in a stadium. Yes, we know that. But at the same time, if you are bringing somebody from outside to come and trade, then you need to be sure they're bringing right equipment that will not cause harm. Whatever they brought has caused not just harm, it had killed. And we can see the family grieving. We can see everybody saying this is not on, and it's not on. Yes, it's happening to Mr. Adeniran and his wife now. Who else now if something is not done. So the people, external people, they are also stakeholders in this. So making sure that kids, young people in our care, they're safe, it's very important. It's paramount. Things like this, we need to do it differently. It's not all about the money. It's about whatever we do it with conscience clear so that we can go to bed and not have palpitations.
Thank you, Dr. Vicky. Mr. Washiko, on that same question around stakeholders, engagement, ensuring, kids are safe in school, and so that we won't be having, this kind of incident in our schools.
Yeah, and in that space, the government will also be part of the stakeholders, Wale, in the sense that standards need to be set. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yeah, go
Or
ahead.
it feels like you're... Oh, yeah. So standards need to be set by the governments that issue the licenses for schools to run.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Yeah, please go ahead. You breaking up, or maybe it's from my end. I'm not in 100% sure, but please go ahead. In seconds.
You're loud and clear. You're loud and clear. Go on.
Okay, so standards need to be set by the government that the schools need to adhere to.
This is just, I'll just be sure.
Yeah, and when those standards are set, it behoves on the school or the management of the school to, of course, pass on that information to their staff, so it trickles down.
There's a problem.
But Egbo can hear me. Is it from?
Wale, we can hear him clearly. It's loud and clear. It's very loud and clear. So check your end.
Okay, he's frozen now.
Elvis, please go on. Please go on.
Oh yes. So those standards need to be put in place that both the management and staff need to adhere to. I mean, as you and I know, here in Australia, there are standards that schools are required to adhere to. For instance, when my kids were in secondary school, if they need to go for any sporting activity or any event at all outside the school environment, the parents get involved. We need to sign forms and give our approvals, and if the child has any medical condition, we need to state it there. We also need to have the emergency contact, where, like in this instance, the parent was in the school and wasn't even notified that something was wrong with their kid. Now, with regards to the vendor or the contractor that came onto that, well, that's in the case that it was an electrocution, as alleged. I would say the school is also vicariously liable. Vicarious, for our viewers, I just need to explain this a bit more. So vicarious liability means where the employer is also responsible for some actions or inactions or omissions of their employee. Now, in this instance, the contractor is the employee. So whatever has happened in that space, school is also responsible. Well, as you and I know, even our sister here mentioned she's seen cables flying around and all hazards in that sense. In my role as a valuer here, if I come into your house and I'm inspecting your property, if I see anything as small as a flying electrical cable that is not connected somewhere, your house is considered to be inhabitable. It means no one can live in that house. So how do you now bring in someone in the instance that this assertion is true onto that property? And as Dr. Vicky alluded to earlier here, everything needs to be checked. So it's the school's responsibility to actually check that these guys are conforming to all safety standards, ensuring that everyone who will be patronizing that van is protected, So, they have failed, honestly. I don't want to put it mildly or gloss over it. They've actually failed in that regard, in the instance that it's an electrocution as alleged. So there needs to be standards that government need to put in place, and also have a way of compelling not just the schools, other organizations as well, to ensure that they are adhering to this safety standard. Well, you and I know here, organizational workplace safety is not, no one takes it for granted here. We know how much, as a business owner, you pay in insurance to ensure your staff and your clients are protected, but because should anything go wrong there, you are liable. I guess, it's easy back home. People are getting away with things. That's probably why, it's being taken for granted. So in that space, the school needs to do their bit. The government, first of all, needs to create the standards that people need to meet up and adhere to. And of course, once those standards are there, the management of the school, passes on that information to their staff, and that way they can work collaboratively to ensure the safety of not just the students there, even the teachers as well. Because today we're talking about the a little girl. It could be an adult teacher or staff in that school tomorrow.
Thank you, Mr. Nwachukwu. I go straight to in 60 seconds, Mrs. Adeniyi. Your final words on this. You made reference to systemic failure earlier. You also made reference to issues around practice guidelines and ensuring that third-party contractors know exactly what they are doing. In your final words, could you reflect on that and any other ideas, as part of closing for the program? On mute, please.
So thank you. My final words will be a little bit as a tangent, so to speak, which is for society to do their best to uphold the family in prayers and be supportive, particularly with the kind of comments that we're seeing online. It's a very challenging time, and we must learn empathy as a society. That is very important, because I've followed the mom and I've heard and read some of the things that have been said about the family as well. We've lost a child, so we must know that they are going through a lot. It's a difficult time, and we should try not to judge per se, but let's see what happens and pray that justice will be served.
Thank you very much, RonkePosh, on that. It's very much. And definitely, Mr. Yemi Shodimo, I'll give you the opportunity as well for your final words. Mr. Yemi Shodimo.
I plead to have a final. Yes, please. Thank
you.
Yes.
Yours, please.
Quickly, yeah. I'll just make this very brief. Just to get paint the picture probably better. This girl, on having said to have slumped, was drenched with water. They were pouring water on her. I don't know how medical that is for a girl that suffered electrocution. Apart from that, there were attempts to dissuade the father from embarking on autopsy, for performing autopsy on the girl. They did, but of course the man refused that. Now, my problem here is that I'm not sure we have learned, and that's the wider society. I'm agreeing with RonkePosh here. I live in Ogudu, and I still see school buses taking pupils around with only the driver in it. We've just experienced the sad incident at somewhere where a driver, defiled a schoolgirl or harassed the schoolgirl, and the father, in an attempt to defend, in his anger, and of course, in an attempt to defend his child, got killed by the same driver in a scuffle. What I'm saying is, you still have drivers taking children around without female wardens in it. And this is 2023. We need to up our game. the society needs to be up and doing. And for God's sake, Whitney, in this case, deserves justice, and this justice she must get. Is the only closure that the parents can have. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Shodim. I quickly do just a quick summary of what we've discussed. We extensively, send our deepest condolences to the parents of Whitney. We spoke about duty of care as very integral to any school in making sure kids, teachers are in a safe environment. In fairness to the school, we don't have them here. They may have their own side of the story, but we think that there's a big question around their duty of care, and we have concerns around events, pointing in the direction of negligence and cover up on the part of that school. We've extensively looked at some of the issues around government investigation, and our guest panelist, RonkePosh, strongly pushed that there's a Niger factor in most of the things that is happening in that country. That it is highly likely that there are a lot of systemic issues or no adherence to practice guidelines. Could have contributed to what just happened. Making comparison between what operates in Nigeria and a global village that we all live in. Our panelists believe there's a need for the school to do more in ensuring, having necessary insurance and making sure that either contractors or whoever that they are using to provide services, making sure that they comply with the, laid down rules and, and regulations in the provision of services. We also demand, and we demand that's justice for young Whitney. That is the only closure that the parents can have. We are all parents there, and I can't just imagine. I can't just try to even, imagine what, they are going through. And in our final words, Ronke actually spoke about the need of society to learn empathy. You can't just go there and be typing rubbish about these people or talking rubbish about these parents. They are going through difficult, times. Show some respect and show empathy. At least that's the least you can do to put yourself in their situation. So I go to Dr. Vicky now. I'm also getting a bit emotional. I go to Dr. Vicky to, close the show and probably take some reactions from from our viewers. Over to you, Dr. Vicky.
It's been one of the shows that it's a bit an emotional one for most of us. I want to show appreciation to RonkePosh for coming on to the show today and joining our voice with ours to say enough is enough. Enough is enough. This just can't continue. And we have our viewers making some comments. We'll just read some of them, and we had some in our green room that joined us to be on the show today. So we've got Ronke Adeniyi, who commented, "Justice for Whitney. I stand with Whitney's parent." She also commented about what Mr. Shodimu said about in another school. The school Mr. Shodimu is talking about is a stone throw to my house. Very terrible thing. Also, Luyo School. Opayemi Ashaolu commented about RonkePosh. Good to see you, RonkePosh, one of the greatest alumni of NLP. May Holy Spirit minister to the parents of Winfred. I think he means Whitney.
Whitney.
So we have Ronke Adeniyi, who commented the parents should have paid huge amount for the sporting activities, and this is what they get in return. Honestly, the management should be answerable. The worst thing here is the fact that the school authority handled the case with levity. What a terrible situation. Buki Nwachukwu commented, this is basically negligence on the side of the school. Now, Mr. Kine, Evangelist Kine, wanted to know, may I please ask, what should happen to the stadium management? That is true. We didn't say anything about the
That
stadium.
Dr. Vic, you actually just took it from me. I still don't understand why Agege Stadium should not be under lock and keys now. I know that in Australia there is no way it will be open now.
No.
So there has to be that. I mean, I don't understand it, because it's not just Chrisland there. There is a venue that this thing happened. It
Exactly.
ought to be locked alongside.
Mm. So it should be like the place isn't safe. Yes, somebody
That
has
is it.
brought something, and yeah. So yeah, that's a question we should. So we're talking about Chrisland. The venue also. What's gonna happen? What should happen? Ekine also said the school management may get away with this because the incident happened in a third party's premises. The law people, lawyers and all will be able to tell us about this. It's true. They maybe that's why they're not responsive. Maybe that's why they have this I don't care attitude. We don't know. But yeah, there should be more to be done by the government, by the people in power to address this, to prevent this from happening again. It's not like, it's just all about we don't want this to happen to another child. We don't want to be mourning another child. I think that's what we want to get out of this and give this parent, Whitney's parents, closure that they deserve because they actually deserve that. That's the least that I mean, that's what they're asking for, and that's what they should get. So I think we'll leave it at that. It's not a happy one today, but we just wanted to join our voices with Whitney's parents, so that we're listening to them, and we are also doing our own part from this side to say enough is enough, and let's do whatever we can so that this doesn't happen again. Um, yes, so we'll just run the show. The producer won't be happy. We're like 8 minutes over, but I think we it's something we had to do. So we want to show appreciation to our guest panelist, RonkePosh. Thank you for saying yes again and joining us today. And we appreciate Whitney's parents for making it to the show. They've been trying again and again to join the show, but it didn't work. So, but we appreciate them, and we're thinking and praying for them. We ask for God to wrap them in His comfort hands, and just you know do what only He can do. That's all we can say. And to our panelists, my panelists, I appreciate you, Mr. Wale Olaiton, for great moderation. Mr. Evisunwachuku, thank you for taking time to be with us. Mr. Egboyemi Shodimu, thank you so much for coming on. And to all our viewers today, you've all been great and commenting and showing how unhappy you are with the situation. We appreciate you. Just keep the comments coming. Whitney's parents will be reading, and the Nigerian people will be reading. So till next week, Friday, when we come back with another topic, we want to wish you all a lovely, lovely weekend. May God bless you all. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Yeah, bye. Sorry, it's not working.
Africa. Nigeria we want. All for the land. Great Nigeria. The Nigeria we want. With Vicky Omi Folaji. Yeah, me show the moon. Wale your light on. Every say what shuku. The Nigeria we want. Great Nigeria. On Vicky Ocean. The Nigeria we want. Great Nigeria. Of Africa.